All right, hey, welcome everybody. It's time for episode 2 of the chapel artwork, and since our last session, I worked here on St. Josephine, Bakhita, I'm going to work on St. Josephine, Bakhita today. Last time I worked on St. Dymphna, and kind of moving this way, I added a little bit of underpainting here just because I needed to pump up some of the darks here. But we're going to work on these kind of semi-clasped hands, very beautiful. Really excited. And we'll spend about 2 hours or so at this and just kind of see how far we get. And maybe there'll be something kind of roughly blocked in that I can continue to refine for the rest of the day. But you can be here and see how it all goes. So welcome and thanks for being here. We'll see. It looks like maybe I'm a little overexposed in the camera. Should be okay once we get painting here. My hand may appear a little overexposed. I've mixed up a few skin tones here, and these are all used just as my palette is my palette. It's these 9 up here, titanium white / lead white. Actually, kind of make a mixture of those. Cad yellow, yellow ochre, cad red, medium or light. This happens to be more of a light. Cerulean, viridian, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and alizarin crimson. That's just what I use all the time. So a lot of people ask, well, what colors do you use for this? I don't know. I always use those. And so even when I'm mixing, things that are fairly neutral, like skin tones, yes, we have some kind of oranges and some things here, but for the most part, these are very near neutrals, browns and neutrals. And so, but the fact that I kind of have to use different mixtures of these to make all of these actually gives them a lot of unity, makes it very powerful. Great color, and I'm excited to get things kind of blocked in right now. So thanks for being here. Feel free at any time to dive into some questions. I'll be happy to get at those as I can. Like I said, we'll spend about two-ish hours today. Then I'm going to want to have lunch. All right. So first things first, I've got my drawing here, the basic outlines and a few shapes that if you haven't watched it yet, you should check out the VR headset app that I use to transfer the image, the composition, to this panel. You should check it out. It's pretty neat. That's also on my channel. And so now here comes like the real work. It was fairly easy to transfer it, but it was also kind of inaccurate. So I'm going to have to continue to move through this and correct drawing stuff along the way. If you're asking what on earth is he wearing, I had a logo on the back of my shirt, and I realized, oh, that's gonna be on camera. I don't know. Is that can you not have like logos and stuff? Isn't that usually blurred out? So I threw on this costumey tunic thing that I wore. That's part of my friar or kind of monk habit. And so if you're like, what's he wearing? He's just a weird artist. That's all. Just know that. All right. First things first, I want to really, because I'm going to want help drawing this out, I'm going to really put in these darker values here, here, and here. And I think that with those in place, I'll be able to see the drawing of the fingers a little better and make any adjustments that I need to make. So we're just going to start off by most of theirs. It may be hard to see even in the stream, but the image that I'm working from, you can see her fingers in there. Really, it's really subtle. But I'm just going to start out making it fairly dark. And so getting out, I don't know, I never like to use too small of a brush if I can help it. And get a little bit, didn't grab paper towels, so I have some paper towels. See, not quite ready. There we go, now we're ready to rock and roll. Okay. Try not to kick any camera tripods. Too much going on. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna start off with some of you know, my blackest dark that I make using burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Nothing magic about that, but let's begin so we can start to see these shapes. We'll try to go as quickly as we can. Let's see. You know, I'm never quite sure if because my black is transparent. You know, it's made using burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Both are transparent oil colors. I like that for reasons of, I believe a lot of times the colors that end up being the objects in the foreground are opaque oil colors versus transparent. I think it gives it an extra sense of physicality, and I think that really helps those objects that are in the foreground that are using like yellow ochre or white. Those are great ways to keep. Imagine it like an island floating in a sea of water, or something like that. That's the way those opaque colors work against these transparent darks that I'm putting in. So imagine it. At least that's how I think about it. Wise Jack, the Wise Jack is back. Thank you for watching again. Appreciate it. All right. So as you can see, I'm just filling in some of these spaces here, and if the camera starts to feel really overexposed for what I'm working on, I might have to adjust that. Take a moment to adjust that. Looking at what it looks like on the stream, looks a little too light. All right, filling in. Okay, I see. I think that's about right. Right there. So this will be fun. Wise Jack, you watched the last one, which I kind of had things blocked in a little bit more, and this is definitely a from from scratch, directly from the drawing sort of scenario. All right, filling these in. Super exciting stuff here. And I have a tendency, there's a lot of artists don't do it this way, but I like working from my darkest dark. Something that it's a point that can't change. So once I've established that dark, I know that everything else, no matter what I do, is lighter than it. And it's just a matter of questioning to what degree is it lighter. And so I will often work from dark to light if I'm really trying to take care. But eventually, I'm just going to get kind of squirrely and jump around because I'll see a color and I'm like, ooh, I want to put that in. So that's coming eventually. All right, a few more. Okay, now apart from, here's a good point. So the shadow side on her hand, I didn't. For whatever reason, I just missed it on the using the VR headset to sketch this in. I just barely missed it. So I didn't really mark any of these lines back over here. So this is where it's one of those things where I'm gonna have to be good at drawing, no matter what, right? I can use the headset to help me transfer the image, but I'm still going to be making drawing decisions all the time. So, so here's what's going to happen. I am going to look very carefully. So you see, I've got this little square shape right here that is her knuckle, and I'm just going to draw in a way like an imaginary line straight down, and see kind of where the edge of the hand is as compared to that knuckle. This is just called comparative measurement. where you compare one thing, you kind of see how it lines up with the next thing. I think we're going to start about right there, because I'm also watching this distance here, and I'm going to just kind of drop that in, and here, because that finger's turned in there very nicely. I'm going to get this nice dark shadow in here as we slowly shape out these hands. You're definitely going to see that I'll take a little more care here at the front end, just so that I don't make a mistake when it matters, when I'm still in some ways establishing the drawing. And think of the drawing as a foundation, and you want to start on a good foundation. All right. Okay, I think I'm going to try to lighten the, or actually change the exposure just a little bit on the main camera. So bear with me for a second. Rob, hello. Rob, thank you. I know it's been a while since I've done stuff on YouTube, and I'm trying to get back to that. So let's see. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. Nope, wrong way. Okay, that should be a little better, I think. Not so overexposed. All right. It's another cloudy day here, but at least it's going to be consistent light. That really shouldn't see much change, which will be nice. Probably saw clouds kind of came and went during the Dymphna live stream. So we're going to get in there. Okay, Wise Jack says, your palette appears to be different from last time. More blues. How did you choose those colors compared to last time? It's actually the same ones. Same palette I use every time, every way. It is the cooler colors that I use are cerulean, viridian, and ultramarine blue. Although you could argue, and sometimes I like to, that it's ultramarine blues. It's very warm, purpley sort of blue. And really, that's how my palette is set up. There's no magic in it. It's kind of set up around warm and cool primaries. So kind of got a warmer yellow and a cooler yellow. I mean, these are warm and cool, are kind of kind of like you get some salsa at a restaurant. Hey, how hot is it? It's not that hot. Well, to some people, right? So yeah, warmer yellow, cooler yellow, warmer red, cooler red, warmer blue, cooler blue. And then I just have a couple of secondary colors, a bluer green, because I knew the palette needed something just to help it strengthen some of the cooler colors, and then burnt sienna's an orange of sorts, and so that's kind of how it works out. All right, Rob, beginning in oil painting. I decided the other day to enter a competition. I think it's called ROI or something like that. The deadline is the 10th of October. Rob, is that ROI? Is that in England? I'm trying to remember. Does it have to do with like portraiture? It sounds familiar, but you'll have to tell me about that organization some. Okay, I know this is not looking like much right now. That's all right. I'm gonna start putting some of the shadow colors on where shadow falls on our hands here. So, and two, that'll include some of these fingers that are here in kind of a couple together here in the shadow. So I'm gonna still use. Maybe I'll set aside my that brush and get out something just slightly different. This would be my kind of dark skin tone brush. I don't really wash my brushes out when I'm painting. I don't keep like mineral spirits around or anything like that, because I'm usually trying to avoid off-gassing. I don't really have, in the studio here, it's a big room, but I don't have ventilation, so try to avoid that when possible. I mixed up this color here, which is, you know, it's a little bit of my mixed black, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and perhaps a little bit of alizarin crimson, and you know, actually I don't remember. I just knew that I wanted a nice reddish. I was looking at the shadow of her hand, this nice kind of reddish dark here. So I'm going to start just laying in that shape as I see it. And maybe even probably a better thing, now that I look at it, would be to compare it to like drop it in here. And that might not be perceivable on the live stream, but I can see that I've got this like more brown finger tone here in the shadow that's sitting against a black, because her dress is black, and so I can see just a little bit there. So we'll see how that goes. Yes, Rob, England. Any subject, but it has an optional theme. This year's home. Oh, that's great. Home. So what are you gonna do for the theme of home? And if I'm asking too much of a question, let me know. It's hard to explain or what have you. All right, these are kind of big marks, because really, you know, and I say this a lot, but until I get enough information in, I'm just not going to make good decisions. And so it's really critical to block these in quickly and get so that I can be better at my decision making. I'm trying to follow the form a little bit. So you notice my mark making is kind of going up the side of the finger, and following the form, it makes it more interest. It will actually create more space and more volume, rather than kind of going a long way. I'm going to make these kind of short strokes like this, and almost imagine them as being like contour lines or longitude or latitude lines that are going around the form. It creates more volume. And if you just hopped on, feel free to drop any question you like in the comments. Helps me talk about something that you might want to listen to. Otherwise, you never know. Never know what you're going to get. Ramblings. Artist ramblings. Okay, still following these shapes. I think I don't like this edge here very much. I think I kind of drew it wrong. We'll see. That's why I do like to keep, even though I might be working on the hands today, I do like to keep the like some of the mixed colors for the areas around. Like I could enter that black, you know, put some of that black in there, so that I can kind of work the area around even my current spot of focus. So we'll see. So Rob says, I've started the painting. It's a gold coffee pot and gold coffee cup and saucer on a folded letter and a magnifying glass on velvet and blue silk. You can ask me anything. No worries, thanks. Well, that sounds the blue silk, blue with the gold. Wow, that's going to be a nice combo. It's going to be really nice. Love anytime like blue and yellowy oranges. I think they go together so nicely. Well, best of luck on the competition. I know it's stiff. Some really excellent painters in England, and many people that I want to paint like someday, to be honest. Right. Yes, Royal Institute of Oil Painters. I think a few, I mean, only because I'm more of a portrait painter, one of the names that's coming immediately to my mind, because she won the Portrait Society of America award last year, Frances Bell, incredible portrait artist. Good stuff. Wow. Love how she paints. So nice. So it's a well-deserved award for her. All right. You can see we're quickly, you know, we've only done a few things here so far. We've added in some of these dark background colors. Now I've started to add some of the shadow side of some of the fingers. And, you know, hands are really complicated. There's going to be so many shapes. And this will be my day's work, you know, so I just know that I'm going to sit here for the majority of the day and try to really finish out these hands. So, while I won't hang out that long, because, you know, streaming is exhausting in its own way. We'll get some of it done here, and hopefully have the main structures out so that you can see them. Rob says, just one problem, I can't actually paint. And this next bit may annoy you. I'm using AI to critique my process. That doesn't annoy me. But I'll say this: if you can find someone locally, you know, find your like kind of local group of painters and invite them over. Like, hey, mind taking a look at this and see what you think. But I do have several friends here in the States who they put their image into AI and ask for a critique, and they have told me that there has been times where it's been very helpful. I get to cheat a little bit because I have you know, I'm in a studio here, and of many artists who occupy this old schoolhouse where the studio is. And they are indispensable. I mean, I just all the time I'll go and ask them, and I need really, you know, that I think about it, I need to make more use of that. So I'm mixing together a little. So what I've done here, I didn't like my placement of the shadow side of the finger here, so I just mixed some of what I consider like the skirt value color, and I'm gonna paint over that, which I did, that I don't like, and just kind of correct my drawing with another shape of paint. So there we go. That'll help. My model, she had, you know, her nails were done and they look very nice, but I'm gonna have to not make the nails done. Herbert Smith competition next year. I don't BP Portrait Awards. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't know about a lot of things. I'm just barely not hermity enough to to know a little bit of what's going on, but I miss a lot of this. But it sounds interesting. All right. Now that I have like this brush out, I'll continue to use it as I need to put in some of the color around. That way I can work wet into wet on these edges. Rob, sorry to hear there's no access to artists. It's a great thing to have. Okay. The shadow from this finger touching here. I just want to get the shadow side of this. All of a sudden I saw it and I was like, yeah, I think that's going to help me provide more and more clarity. Rob, no one is advanced enough to not need outside like critique. In fact, I think the moment that is shunned or even like, I don't need that, that's like, you might as well just languish as an artist for the rest of your life. So one of the and it's funny, 'cause it's not like I want to hear it. There's no time that I want to hear like, I think those horses, I think their legs are a little too skinny or whatever. Like he'll come in, and it's really good help. He'll come in and say some of those things, and I never want to hear it. It's never like welcome in a way, right? At first I'm like, I don't, because usually what it is, it's like that whole thing. You see, you can be critical towards people, but you're usually critical over the things that how they kind of reflect you, and so I was already thinking that, right? I was like, yeah, this probably needs to be changed, but I don't know, maybe it's okay. And then he'll come in and say, nope, that's wrong, and I'll be like, yep, you're right, it was, I knew it all along, and I just didn't want to do it for whatever reason. So it's good. Yep, need those voices, people that are really for you, around you. It's only good as community. That's actually a really good point. I listened to a live stream of some other artists that I admire, and that was one of my big takeaways. They're like, hey, you've got a good community is one where you have other artists around you that you admire, and good museums and good access to like mentors. So like those are like critical, because you need other artists around you to not only inspire you but also to challenge you. And so we have one art museum here in Wichita. This is a smaller city. It's about 450,000. So it's really nice city. But one of the things that I probably lack, even though we do have an art museum and some of the paintings in their collection are awesome, I just love them. But there's not like a big museum that I can go to. But I do have community, and I do have other artists who have been at it longer than I around that I can ask things, get feedback, and those things are very, very necessary. Okay. I mean, it's fun to kind of glance over here because I'm sort of watching the live stream as I do this to help me just keep an eye on the comments. And I'm actually using that screen, since it's small, as my step back and look at the whole sort of a thing. It's working really well. Okay, because I can see those major shapes now. So really simple, it's overly simplistic. We've established in just a few minutes these darks and lights here, structures throughout the hands. We've got it's a little complicated of a scenario with them clasped together, but I did like it as a sort of subtly. Almost in prayer, not quite, still this kind of in between space. I really liked this set of hands when I was taking my reference shots of the models, and so really exciting. Again, I mentioned it before with St. Dymphna, but St. Josephine Bakhita, another great saint to just take a look at her life and see how even through adversity, she loved and served others. Really amazing. And a life worthy of listening to her stories. All right. Okay, so let's see. I think it's time to try to start getting some light, some of the light side in. And again, this is really just a really simple. I call it. It's like a two value breakdown. So I'm trying to just break this down as simply as possible with like two values, kind of a light side, dark side, so that there's this general mass and general volume, and then go into it and refine just a little more and a little more and a little more. Yeah, Rob, I'd be happy to take a look at it. You bet. So I'll get to. You're welcome to shoot me a message on Instagram. Handles the same, EVWIII, and I'll take a look at it. It'll probably be just a brief couple words, but I'll take a look at it. Now I'm going to be cheeky and say I'll put it into AI, have AI talk about it, then I'll just give you what AI told me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'd be happy to look at it and let you know what I think. All right, I don't know, I wanted a little more shadow here. Really, I wanted to see what was going on in this area here. As I start to work here, what I can't tell, because I don't have my dark values underneath here, is that what is really the value of that shadow side of the hand. And so in order to see that, I need to add a little bit of black here, because there is shadow, the shadow as her hand is rested against her kind of torso. And let's see, but then you have a little bit of light coming through here, and I really want to capture that. It's subtle, but it's nice underneath the shadow of the hand. Really will make it nice to put in. Okay. Yeah, you bet, Rob. Okay. Another, just where that light is happening, and I am not using enough paint. Trying to save some of these colors for the hands proper. But I need just a little bit telling me what's going on the outside. So if you haven't kind of figured it out, it's all about everything's about relationship, color relationship. Like I can try to make this hand, but if I'm not really seeing these values against, what's happening around it, I'm not going to make very accurate decisions. It's one of the reasons why I kind of do this color here, rather work on this color wash rather than white. It's really hard to make good decisions working directly on white. So give yourself a little tone before you get started. Help out a lot. All right, if you're just joining us, definitely drop a message, or question, whatever. Be glad to get to it. Okay, I think we're ready to get some of the color side in. There are probably, it's good, hard to see. The stream is only so good at these things, but there are some lovely purpley oranges that happen on kind of this area here, and I'm just excited. Color nerd. All right, let's see. So I'm never quite certain if what I mixed here is accurate. Tried my best to just mix a few. This saves me some time. Just doing a few pre-mixtures is nice because I can just kind of pull from those and work quickly. I'm gonna get a little bit bigger of a brush and lay in some of these these bigger planes here. So let's just see if I'm at all close. Nope. Let's see. All right, it needs a little more red. I'm gonna add some CAD red to it. Yeah, I like that. So that's often what I do. I'll just lay down a little bit of color just so that I can start to gain a small foothold in an area and say, okay, if I am determining that this is the color and I like it right now, then you can watch it change a little bit as it comes up here, and I can watch kind of what happens. How does it shift as we go into the thumb? But that color stays there for a good bit, for about a shape, just a little bit of medium. I don't use a lot of medium because there's a certain flow that I want, and I don't want it to be too viscous because I still like just paint. But I want just a slight viscosity as I start to put this in. Okay. All right, I like that, and I'm gonna make a slight shift as I see it move into the thumb here. It's just a little different, and I watch it turn slightly darker and just slightly bluer. So I have this one kind of already mixed up, and I'm gonna put it in here and see if I like it. Maybe, we'll see. Happens. I think that's probably up a little bit. Add again a little more of the red. There we go. Really nice blue-green here that happens, and I don't want to miss that. So again, I'm not washing my brush, I'm not rinsing it. I like the colors that's there. I'm going to mix into the brush just a little bit, grab some of that Viridian, and whoops, it's dry. I'm going to just open that up. A little bit of Viridian. Just kind of lay down a shape there. So far, so good. So I can kind of make a decision with this brush now, and I think I'm going to. I'm going to say that this brush is going to be what I use to really do the lighter parts of the skin tone. And so I'm going to leave this one out because, like I say, I just like to use lots of brushes since I don't clean my brushes. So I just kind of grab the value brush that I need. But I want to start getting the back side of the hand here too. And I'm going to get one other brush, just help me along with that. Again, I'm going to stay still fairly large. Want to make moves and big brushes, especially at the start. I'll have to get tighter sooner than I like. That's all right. Okay, looking very carefully. I'm going to use some of these premixes, but I don't see any of them really do the trick. So I'm going to try mixing a couple of the premixes together. That's another reason why I like them, is because I'm like, oh, I don't know that I really quite see what I need, but usually between them I can. So this is a guess. This is me putting down, all right, mid hand, we want to start turning that form. Okay, I think it got a little dark. I didn't want that to happen that soon, so went too far. It's okay. I wouldn't have known had I not put it down. Some instructors will be like, no, you need to know before you put it down. And I'm like, I never know until I do it. Okay, that might be okay down here somewhere. And Rob, on my Instagram, if I don't reply immediately, it's just because I rarely check message requests. So just know that once I see it, I will. Hopefully it'll be in time before you have to turn it in. All right, let's slowly fill in the back of that hand. This is nice because this big section is going to be this. We really want to make that feel rounded. And not sure what prompted me to get some blue, but I'm gonna go with that. Trust that. You see, I'm trying to avoid blending. But if you blend, there's another artist, Tim Reese, who great painter, recommends, and this is generally good advice, to avoid a lot of stroke. So, like for instance, if I just start painting without reloading the brush with some color, I really need to pause and reload. And so that's just kind of 2-3 little marks. Jokingly say, just pet the cat, and yeah. Don't annoy the cat. Right. And thank you all for being here today. It's awesome. Last stream, people way more interested in portraiture. Not as many people here for hands. That's all right. Hands are like the second portrait. Really important to get right. Really hard to do too. Yeah, but we're starting to get to where it's getting good. It's exciting. All right. And much like before in episode 1, I'm gonna bounce around. If you're watching my head in the lower right, you'll just see how much is just looking. It's kind of looking and then deciding and saying, okay, that's where I'm attacking next. Want a little bit there on the knuckle. And I like that color, actually. I'm gonna use it again right here. All right. Make a fresh kind of purpley, this is kind of a little blue and purpley here. Love, and this is just where, like, you'll hear me say it a lot on here, but good art's part what you see, part what you know, part what you want to see. So when I start skin tones, I start to see these subtle shifts, and I just chase after them because I know that it's part of what's going to make it good. All right, and then as soon as I add that, I noticed how kind of orange this side turns, so I'm just going to add a little mark there. Beautiful. All right, Rob says, I don't know if I can finish my painting in time. Yikes, yeah. 12 by 16. I don't know really what I'm doing. That's okay. The fact that you're doing it at all and you've decided to enter something is a big deal. So please finish it. I'm trying to finish this in a good time too. So expect a lot of streams. A lot of streams in the next month or so. I'm not going to stream the boring days because there'll be plenty of those. But if I'm working on exciting things, I will stream it. Yeah, Rob, they really are difficult. Hands are difficult because they're just complicated. You have so many planes, so much going on. And even like my model, you know, she, we were, I think probably at this point, doing a bunch of different hands, as in like, okay, let's subtle hand movement here, subtle hand movement there, and so even the image you can maybe see the stream is just kind of slightly on the move, and it is just a little blurry. So I'm gonna work against that too. My source isn't the best, isn't as solid or clear as it could be. Excellent. Liking how it's going. There's many times where I don't like how it's going. I have a tendency to work from left to right, and that's I'm right-handed, and I'm oftentimes bracing myself with pinky, and you know, if it's wet on the right, then I'm just putting my hand in wet paint, which I've done plenty of times, but try to avoid it if I can help it. And I try to clean up anything dangerous. I stay pretty clean. Doesn't get too crazy around here, but occasionally I make a mess. Drop a brush. I think I even dropped a brush during the last live stream, so it happens. All right, I have a goal of kind of a general tiled block in of these two hands. We started almost 50 minutes ago, so I think I'm on track, nearly. Get a good 2-hour stream here. It's about all my voice can take anyway. And so I'm just slowly working my way, you know, I'll see, okay, maybe I need to, you know, a little more here, a little more here, and put some shapes there, those knuckles. Definitely have to clean up this area down here. It will be a lot of drawing when I yeah, I didn't really get it in very effectively in the image transfer. So yeah, and if you're new here and you haven't seen how the image even got onto this panel, it's worthwhile to check it out. I used a VR headset. Pretty zany. As a guy said before, it was like watching the future. Said watching your last video was like watching the future. It was pretty unreal to me to even use that app. It's kind of amazing. Adding a little bit. Let's see, I might be kind of deadening that. I want it to still have some color. So even as I make these marks, like I was saying before, I don't really don't want to do a lot of mixing on the canvas if I can help it. I really want to mix a color and put it down. And as I was saying, this is another artist, Tim Reese, like, he doesn't really let his students like make more than 10 marks before like reloading the brush. And I even think that is kind of excessive. 10's a lot. You're gonna lose a lot of your nice shapes. Just avoid, you get these nice color shapes, and these mixed colors are really nice, and they can deaden the more that you kind of mix on canvas. What is meant by good brushwork? I'm worried my painting is going to look amateurish. Even technically, I am an amateur. Well, one of the things that I think that happens with something that I think might look more amateur, I guess, would be removing all evidence of the mark. So I think there should be some mark left that still is like, we're making a painting, and so I think there's a tendency for newer artists. I mean, I certainly did this, new to painting, where it was really just like, can I make it as smooth as possible and kind of clean it up, or make it look like the image or the source as much as possible, rather than allowing some of the brushwork to really be part of the story and nice. So I would, my encouragement would be to just leave some of that brushwork. Don't remove it all. Make it interesting, and of course, then there's like whole thing with edges, right? So painters always talk about edges, but rightly so. It's like how how I worked into that little bit of black there in the background matters. And even that edge, if I look really closely at my source, I see that it, right at the edge, it turns more burnt sienna. And so I will come in with a liner brush and make some marks in there to really establish that and get it in place. All right, I'm gonna switch up to my kind of mid-tone brush. I need to get some of these other things in here, because anytime, now we're starting to get to the point that anytime I have some of the ground layer showing, and that the ground layer is just this general tone, anytime that's showing now, it's gonna really start stealing the painting's effectiveness. So I've got to take care of that quickly, so that it can start looking good. So I'm going to need to, cover that up. Just find, and that's a lot of times what I'm looking at. I'll see, well, there's nothing there yet, and then I'll look to the source. It's cool. What is there? And then I'll see, I need to add, the in-between value here. Yeah, one of the great things, Rob, about painting is that you're using a brush and you're moving, some pigment around. And so while maybe like pre-camera, it was okay to like completely remove the brush. I think post-camera, I think it's important to leave some of the brush in there, because it's like, well, camera is just going to record what it sees, what the sensor is exposed to, whereas as painters, we have an option to kind of make it interesting, exaggerate, and do things that camera can't do. Camera can't make an interesting brushstroke. And even AI can't make an interesting brushstroke. I know the argument could be, well, but it can make a brushstroke, and I was like, okay, sure, but it didn't do it because it saw a color, was inspired by it. It did it out of a kind of a slavish prompt. And so really have a incredible opportunity in painting to get at some of that necessary information in a way that just is human. I enter this day, and I'm full of my own. Like maybe yesterday was an awesome day, and so there is an energy and excitement to coming to the canvas today. Maybe it's a hard day. Last year I lost my dad, and so coming to the canvas changed. It changed what happened. And so I just think that that will always separate us from the prompt as creators, as artists, because you're never going to replicate human experience in that way. And you can make an argument that maybe someday there will be like experience behind what an AI is doing, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I think we do have something unique. Right, getting all this filled in. And always thinking about where to go next. Get in some of these shapes in the background here better. I see when I look at this finger here, and this is that comparative measurement thing I'm talking about. I'm going to I see kind of like my shadow side of the finger, and then I'll make a quick just space judgment, like how far from that edge is like the shadow side, the farther finger shadow side. And I've got a little bit too much space there, so I'm gonna have to cut into that. I'm gonna cut in too far because actually I'm gonna use some of what I left there. Is she's got one of her fingers coming out back there too, so use that. As you can see, a simple thing like covering that up just begins to really put things in place. And this is a very crude it is there's not a lot to this, but we're getting these shapes in here that are really going to hold together the more we finish up these covering up these areas that are still just the ground layer. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. And I'm sorry that for your loss. That sounds like she kind of helped you move in that direction, though. Isn't it sweet when I don't know, somebody just kind of speaks that life into you, that joyful, just encouragement. That's great. So you're pursuing it. And that's beautiful too. Probably in many ways in her honor. Right. All right, I'm kind of wanting to start to move over here, but I know that I've not quite done all my work over here yet on this side. Slowly working my way towards the fingertips. They're getting lighter as I go. And so maybe I will just kind of put in a mark or two here. And I'll have to come back to fix these fingernails. Nothing wrong, they look very nice. And I don't believe St. Josephine Bakhita had her nails done. So yeah, we'll fix that. That's funny. The models are always really nice. They're like, "Hey, do you want me to take these off?" And I'm like, "No, don't worry about it." Those are things we can adjust in post. You know, and as I keep going, I'll just find these like little spots that I like. There was right on the inside of this finger, I was just looking at this nice yellowy orange on the inside. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. I just want to put it in. I am such a color nerd. But, and I wish, yeah, and I'm kind of looking at the exposure on the live stream here, and I know much of what I'm talking about is lost. I have these big, beautiful windows that face north and east, and they just great light, but I am subject to the whim of the weather. So kind of whatever the weather's doing that day is what I'm gonna get. In the studio. I love the natural light though. Drew an elephant in charcoal in her honor, which I entered into a competition called the British Art Prize. Won't get anywhere, but I got the experience and get to donate. The prize fund. Yep, I've donated to many a prize fund. That's all right though. Was there significance to for the elephant for her? Oh, it's just starting to get good now. Oh, we're getting there. Starting to look like a thing. It's gotten past its a little. Well, it's still a little bit in the ugly stage. You know, everything has its stage. It's like, ugh, gross. Gotta work on that some more. Back and forth, back and forth. When I have dementia later, they're going to really wonder why I keep turning my head to the left and looking. Yeah, you're describing the way to be an artist. Not sure why, but it just came to me and I did it. Yep, that is the way. Very very satisfying to follow those whims with joy and playfulness. Big fan of. A lot of what I do is at times you could say, well, why exactly did you choose that right then? And I'm like, well, I couldn't exactly tell you, but it just felt right. Okay, this shadow is really kind of comes all the way down here. I liked that break. It actually did help describe it a little bit. So what I may do, and again, this is one of those places where, part what you see, part what you know, part what you want to see. I'm gonna extend this, the light side of this finger just a little farther in, just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's okay. Get all this covered. Wow, 90 hours. That's a lot to put into any work. Thanks, Rob. Thanks. And like this point, it's just a matter of like how far do I want to keep going. Part of, as we talked about, like good brushwork, you want to leave it slightly undone where you can, but you also want enough information for it to really work. And so that undoneness and the leaving of the mark actually creates motion, and our hands, we communicate with our hands almost as much as our faces, so maybe sometimes more. I know I'm a very gestural conversationalist. So we'll leave a little bit of energy there if we don't just completely tighten everything down. And I'll use some smaller brushes later, but kind of sticking to these. The number is rather useless because from brand to brand, the number is totally different. Kind of like clothing, numbers are almost irrelevant. Feels so anyway. But I don't know, this is about, forgive me for imperial measurements, but about a 1/2 inch of wide brush. Okay, I gotta get this, this area is still sticking out, and it's gonna cause things to not work so good if I don't get it covered. But the overall goal in kind of blocking this in at this point is, I really want to just feel that whole structure. And once I've at least got it to that point, which it's pretty much there, I'm gonna do a little more down here, clean this up. I can then dive into this side and I'll do the same over here too. And in some ways this one's a little harder, right? Because I had a lot more, and this is fairly simple on this side. So we'll see where we end up. Okay. I want to get to that other side. It's tempting me, but we're not quite there yet. Lean back and look at it all. It's harder to step away from it. All the camera's going. I like to kind of do a very extreme lean back to see where are things. How we doing? That tip of the finger here, one of the lightest areas. Your hand. Pull that around here. And I'm not going to describe, I don't know, you've probably heard me, I talked about teeth last time, like, oh, I don't want to paint teeth if I can help it. So just hard to do well. And I feel like no matter what I do, it just looks awkward. Nails on hands are kind of similar. Not that you should ignore them, you should, but less is more, almost always on those sorts of things. If you can do it in just a few strokes, you'll be better off for it. So I will try to describe these, in the great degree of subtlety. All right, I think I want. What did I just see that I wanted to do? Maybe it's just here. Oh, it's noon. It's noon on Monday in Kansas. For those of you not here, that is the time the sirens go off. So every day, or not every day, every Monday. In some parts of Kansas, though, it is every day. Every noon, tornado sirens go off. Not that I've ever seen one. I've never even seen one. Lived here all my life, but you might barely hear it in the background. I'll try to be quiet. See if you can hear the sirens. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, 6 p.m. Yep. I'll be breaking for lunch before long. And with these bigger brushes, I'll just use like the corner, or I'll use it in line, or there's many different ways for it to for it to be successful. Just because I don't have a little liner brush, it's not needed. I'm just kind of using corners and things like that where it needs to happen. And I will come back and work more just on this in general, right? I mean, the render on this, which is in some ways kind of the long part, I'll come back and do later. And it's a really nice highlight. I don't know if I can capture it effectively from kind of the knuckle. And then I start holding a bunch of brushes in this hand. I just start passing brushes, grabbing the value brush that I need. So eventually my left hand looks like Edward brush hands when I'm working between many different ones. Using these edges, that's why I love like kind of flats. This is a small flat brush, and I can just use the edge right in here, just like so. Yeah. And then I guess just to share a little bit of my plans for this edge, I'm going to set everything down, and so I see this, whether or not it's there. I'll still get out a small little liner, and I'll take some of the burnt sienna directly out of the tube, and I'll just come up against this edge here. And in some ways, a lot of that intense chroma, because tube color directly out of the tube is just electric, but I can do this where I'll just kind of touch up that edge, because I'll see that edge just looking, I don't know, for some reason it always looks full of color to me. So some of these edges I will come in here with this kind of electric paint directly from the tube, burnt sienna, and just touch up this edge. It's going to transition. It softens that edge, which is nice, but then I also think it just provides this little explosion of color that is, it's a little vibrancy. Again, anytime you're doing skin tones, you're just not going to find that much crazy highly chromatic color. It's going to be largely neutrals, and so anytime you find little areas to pump some color into it, take that opportunity and do so. So my nail bed here, I'm gonna do this one. This one you really can use. Especially that one, I can really use it to like tell about how, this thumb is curving in here and then coming out toward us, the viewer. Right, I need to get the rest of this in here. This finger there in the background. It's also kind of nice to have things in the background there, because you don't have to render them as much. It saves a little bit of work, because even with just a couple of shapes, you can hint to the viewer what's going on there exactly. And two, just the less we're really trying to get this right, and clean up all of our edges and make it nice and smooth and buff away all our mark and all those things that are really will really ruin it. Lost my train of thought. Sorry, Rob. So I was thinking underpainting should be softened. I have blurred. So I was thinking underpainting should be softened. I have blurred my paintings. I haven't quite finished the first color pass. I mean, I'll say this regarding kind of the soft edge, sharp edge conversation. Just use it to your advantage. I think generally a soft edge is preferred over a hard, right? I think that's another thing, Rob, to kind of talk about what a thing looking, if it looks a little amateurish in painting is usually when someone has a really, really hard edge to, it often looks well, it's really unnatural, to be honest, because very rarely do we encounter such. I guess it just ends up looking. It steals its opportunity to, I think, kind of be slightly painterly, and it really like ruins the illusion overall, right? Where if you're making a representational painting, you're really trying to be an illusionist of sorts, and it can quickly a really sharp, hard edge is glaring because our eye goes to it, and that's why you can use sharp edges to your advantage, because if you want to kind of send an eye somewhere, leave a really hard edge. That we have a tendency to look at those, and if you want something to kind of sit back, then let that softness just let it kind of sit back in space a little bit. All right, so I'm going to fill in some of these bigger shapes here. Oh, I love it when I can finally get to bigger areas. Sometimes I can feel really tight working on a hand. To get that covered. I don't know that I do either. Rob, I don't know that I have good edge control either. I think in the last few years, I've thought more about the edge as its own entity, whereas before it was just, no, it's the thing between two things, or it's what's important is the objects. But then I'm like, well, I need to start thinking about that space in between as part of its its own thing, and it needs its own attention, or imagine it as a third object, right? If we have two objects and an edge in between them, that edge is like my third object, and how do they end up working together? Big shapes here. And this is going a little bit off the camera. Apologize. We'll come back into the fingers here. Rob, you're a kind guy. Thanks. Appreciate it. Honestly, I feel tremendously fortunate. Enough weird things happened at the right time given me the ability to do this. Met some guys from Ireland right after I finished an artist residency in Italy, and just really changed my entire life. Just a couple meetings, a couple chance meetings, and it gave opportunities that I just never would have thought possible. So that's another good reason to continue our conversation on like having other artists around. It's another good reason to, have other artists around, just because so much depends on community. So thanks, Rob. All right, one of the things that as I start to put in some of these bigger shapes, again, very rough at first, just kind of like you saw with the other side of the hand, very rough, but we're gonna get that filled in and try to pick apart every one of these little shapes. A little kind of orange, a little more orange there on the inside, and got a fairly dark line that comes up this area here. And to be honest, there are about so many more little color shapes that I'm seeing that I'm excited to get after here later today. So I'm gonna be doing some painting. You'll just have to see it from afar in the next session. I don't know where I'll go next. We'll see. Always an adventure. And I don't know when it'll be. It really would be helpful if I had a schedule, but for the same reasons that Rob, you decided to do an elephant, I will just decide, oh, this is the day, and then do it. Or I'll be like, why did I want to move to the hands today? I don't know, but I am going to do the hands and heads first on the painting, and which I don't necessarily recommend if you're new to painting to kind of break it up that way. But I do like to get to the things that are going to communicate the most, and then let everything else be a supporting cast. So no matter what I do after this, I'm going to try to keep the energy and the focus, hands and faces, and hopefully it they all kind of work together in the end. And hopefully this little right hand window in the live stream shows a nice big beautiful painting. Might get a little challenging when I go up high. I usually set everything up on a table, not quite scaffolding, because I don't have that, but sort of set all this up on a table, so just kind of rise it just this much, and sometimes even a step ladder on a table. Guys, really safe around here. Stick around, you might see the live stream that proves to be the end of me. go. Got that angle in there. I like that better now. It's funny just how just a little bit helps. So I added this, it's hard to see this angle right here that just provided that kind of natural angle that's on our hands there. And I was like, wow, I like that now. I didn't like it. And then it was one little mark. Just added a bit of structure. Get some of that color that I was talking about there. Yes, yeah. So that's a good point, Rob. Where is the focal point? So the purpose of this artwork is going to chapel, and as it's a collection of saints, where there will be times where they all get to be part of the show. And so I have to try my best to keep, give everyone top billing in some way and make it all work together. It is very challenging. I do think, though, St. Josephine Bakhita here that I'm working on right now, I do think she has kind of an anchoring presence to the composition, and so I do think she's really important. So we'll see. We'll see how it ends. And so sometimes I'll still get out the liner just because I want that little edge. I'm trying to stay big brushes, big movements. Still cleaning up. Edges here. It's amazing how much just my sort of piecemeal approach, things just kind of start falling by the wayside. I miss various parts. I'm like, oh, I didn't even fill that in yet. So maybe not the best, but the piecemeal is good because what I'm trying to do is I want to feel out this shape next to this shape, this color next to this color, until it is it's in place, until I feel like, yeah, that was the right color. Because again, it's about relationship. Everything is in relationship to one another. Shapes in here. Yeah, I think you're right, Rob. In the end, like, people are going to hang out at different places, and also, this is being a place of worship. So, I think there will be times where, you're contemplating the life of one of these saints, and in that space, one becomes more important than the others, and but I hope that it's that in time each one is, I don't know, inspirational. That's all I can say, is that it encourages, inspires. We all need some inspiration. to do more with our life, I think. I'd added some nice subtle blue, kind of blue-purple colors in here. I just wish I wish the video could, I don't know, see, yeah, it just doesn't do it justice. As I look at the video, I'm like, oh, it's a really nice subtlety there. And these will be viewed from probably no closer than 6 feet, and the space is big, but you know, most times no one will be even that close to the artwork. So as long as, like, from a distance, things really hold together, you know, that's key. Made that a little too dark. That's why I like to have these varying brushes of got kind of a light, a mid, a dark, and I just will play around with those and bounce back and forth until we get it. I mean, that is my tendency to. It's all in trying to avoid avoid the use of white where I can. Nothing wrong with using white, but the more white that kind of enters into the equation, the less color you get, the less, you know, intense, beautiful color, because it just kind of chalks things out. So recommend, when possible, you know, to stay a little darker and let your color make things lighter when you can. Nothing wrong with using white, but it does have a tendency to steal good color. Yeah, that's a good point, Rob. And I tend to think about paintings as theater. May sound a little strange, but painting is even like if I'm doing a still life, kind of like your teacup, right? Gold and blue. Like, you know, think about arranging it on the scene, almost blocking it out like you would for a stage production. You know, all of that really does come into play. And so, yeah, I've always wanted things to just sort of sit on the stage. And you're right, in a production, you may look at the main character singing in the musical, but then you may look at the chorus there singing behind, or, you know, there's such a thing as best supporting actor, right? And in award ceremonies, so you gotta have a couple of different people doing stuff to make it interesting. All right, we're getting nearly there with everything blocked in. And once we get that done, we'll kind of assess, and I'll let you know where I go next and what my plans will be. Because, you know, even while it's there are many ways that it's not there. They can be just a little more solidified, and really, like, the heavy lifting is all getting done right now. I get to the refinement is something I get to just kind of pick and choose after all this was blocked in, and we're getting close. Yeah, one of the things you kind of also miss in the live stream is like the color exaggeration. I'm doing so. Yes, I have a reference. Even the reference I'm looking at looks different from the live stream video reference. It's kind of grayer. I have a little the reference using on my tablet here is much more vibrant. I didn't change it or anything. It just looks different, and so there is a lot more color in the painting than the reference I think suggests, at least on the stream. So yes, it will be different. And again, I'm not trying to make this exactly. I'm trying to use it as inspiration to exaggerate and make things interesting and alive, and hopefully, hopefully do what it's meant to do. But I'm pleased with how this has gone so far. I'm not always pleased. Watch enough of the videos, I'm not always pleased. Need to get just a little bit of it's a really it's very red-orange shape, kind of like right inside here. I want to get, like that. All right, and then sometimes when I mix something like that and it's on the brush, I'll just look around the painting and see, like, is there another place where, where I see that similar color? If I can see a little bit up here, and maybe it happens again here, just a little bit down through here. So sometimes just like for efficiency's sake, I'm like, well, you know what? I see that color happening in a bunch of different places, so I'm going to use it. Do you know how many layers you do before you start? I seem to need to do lots more because I need to make more corrections than normal people. I will, like the stream from last Friday, with Dimthna, I was hoping to like finish, but I didn't quite finish. And so I am going to need to go back into it just a little bit. And a lot of times those final layers are usually picking and choosing, softening some things out. But then maybe it is a little more of a glazing scenario where I want to shift color a lot. That happens too. But I kind of like you're hinting at. It's like a lot of times it's as many layers as is needed, because it's done when it's done. So a lot of times I realize I'm kind of trying to get it to the point that I want it to be, and that's really one of the big beautiful things about oils is you have so much time, you can just continue to refine and improve. So take as many layers as you need, and don't sweat it. But if I can, like today, I would like to be done with these hands in their entirety. Like the effort I put forth today, I don't want to return to them. Unless like say I mix, which will be another day, like work on her face. Let's say the color I mix is very different. Then maybe it looks unnatural, like, oh, they're a little too far off. Because look, I don't have an equation for these things. That's very much on purpose. I want to come to it fresh each day. I want to mix the color as I see it. Part of that like human whimsy that we've talked about throughout this session. And that also keeps everything fresh for me. You know, if I had an equation that I did each time, I think it would become tiresome. Whereas, you know, there's just a freshness to this approach. So I'm not going to perfectly match next time by any stretch. So sometimes I'll look at the hands, I'll look at the face, and I was like, all right, does that still work? All right, maybe I need to adjust it a little bit and put some other colors down so that it feels like it matches a little more. And maybe I'll dive into her face. That's a whole nother topic though, because of course we have photographs of St. Josephine, and so I do my model stand-in. So I'll use the light information from the stand-in, and then I'll try to draw St. Josephine as she appeared. And very challenging to do. Hard to describe what I'm doing and when I'm choosing what. Like, what am I focusing on to achieve this? But it would probably make sense to move into that next. That would be saving some time. But maybe kind of like Dimphna, maybe today, I don't know, this is where I start to make some goals for the day. Maybe today I get the hands done, and maybe there's still a little bit of leftover time, and I can kind of use the paint that I have to block in her face. And we'll see. Well, that remains to be seen how the day goes. Right. And some more of these shapes here. And you know, I'll put something down and I'll say, you know, I see like the shape next to it just a little redder, and then I'll use the same brush and I'll try to mix it in. I think I got the back of the hand there a little dark, but even that one move there made me so much more happier. That's why you can have Bob Ross talk about like happy accidents. Because it's just like, oh, I'm going to put this here, and all of a sudden, whoa, that really did it. Did the trick. Yeah. Little touches of color here. Let's see the sun, or not the sun, but the light traveling through. Skin, turning it a little red there. We're semi-transparent, right? Slightly see-through. So you gotta account for light sometimes traveling through skin. So I'm not really happy with that thumb yet. It's going to take some careful shaping, and I'll have to make some drawing decisions there to make that more effective. And all, you know, there's kind of these little bits of areas that I haven't quite done yet, and you know, I'll just come in. Yes, I'll finally break out the smaller brushes and touch up some of the areas. But again, just trying to be quick and intuitive, trust the gut, get some of these blocked in successfully. It's just really fun. Yeah, that's a good point, Rob. Need to have a good understanding of light logic. Yep. Um, yeah. Again, that saying you'll hear me parrot over and over again. Good painting is part what you see, part what you know, part what you want to see, and so it's certainly inspired by what you see, what you take in, how you attempt to render it. That's that visual inspiration. And all right, so I'm gonna work on largely what I'm seeing, but then part what you know. So like there's the knowledge part, like, well, what is the anatomy of the hand, and how does light travel through skin, and how do you choose the difference between like a soft shadow transition and a hard shadow transition, and where is that going to happen, so that it really tells us about what this space is made out of. And those are all part of it. And then the last, what you want to see, and then there comes that like, okay, well, I really like this, I want this to be inspirational. So how can I exaggerate some color? How can I make things just a little more visually exciting? How can I leave some of that brush mark we talked about earlier, so that it is like exciting and still feels painterly, feels like it's doing a thing that only paint can do. So this would be another good time to kind of work beside, with some of that outside color, what exactly is happening here, right around this edge. And this is where I'll get specific about the drawing, the drawing itself. Needs to be done correctly so that the hands are moving the way they ought. So get up my little background brush, some of those background colors we were using earlier. The side that's in the light. And with that in there, it's a little darker than I think. That probably added too much. So sometimes you can kind of mix directly on canvas. I know I said generally don't do that, and I do mean it, but sometimes it's like, oh, okay, I need something here so I can tell what's going on. Okay. I find simplifying difficult, what to leave out in such decisions. I think that just comes with, more and more experience. Maybe one of the things you could do now to just help in that choosing is, as best you can, kind of step out of yourself and imagine yourself like looking at it as like an artwork that's hanging on the wall, and if you approached it not knowing anything about the artist, not knowing anything about the artwork. Does it read? Is it communicating what your intent was? And a lot of times, like, that can clear up things for me, because I can say, well, I had no intention. You talked about like having a star of the show. It's like, well, I have no intention to make her dress the star of the show, right? And so if I like render that amazingly and I don't do a good job elsewhere, then that's when it's like, okay, maybe that's unnecessary. Or maybe like there's a fold over here, like on this side of the hand, that's part of the cloak that was wrapped around her. I don't know that that's necessary. I don't know that I'm going to try to render that out. I mean, I may hint at a little bit coming into like here and here, but I don't know that it's necessary to like do all these little folds that are like, I think they're extra information that's just not needed, even though, yes, it's in the reference, but in the scheme of things, how important is that? And so I think that's maybe the question to ask, is just, do people need this for the painting to work? Probably a lot of times the answer is no. We tend to be like, well, but it's there in the reference, and it's like, well, you didn't have to put it in, or it didn't need that much of the star power of the painting. But yeah, that's a good question, and a lot of the members of the Atelier here, we talk a lot about like, well, it's just, I have to encourage them often to be like, you know what, that I see that you're seeing that bit of information. You don't have to put that in there. It's not doing anything for the artwork. So, don't worry about it. I know it's there, but yeah, you don't need it. So I bet you'd be surprised at how often it's just unnecessary. Getting out the liner here, so you have a couple of small marks I can make. Yeah, this is something that comes with experience. Yeah, I think that's a good point too, Rob. I mean, like I think there are many times that I look at a painting and I just say, why did this have to become a painting? Especially when it comes to kind of photorealism, the way it's handled. Just like that's probably as good of a question too. Why did this need to become a painting? And what justifies the existence of this as an artwork? And yeah, those are sometimes tough questions, because you have very meaningful and sentimental photos that people will say, oh, well, could you make a painting out of this? And I just have to say, look, this is a really nice photo. It's very, I understand why it's sweet to you, but it's just not going to translate well into a painting. It's not going to be a good painting. It's a fine photograph, but it's not going to be a good painting. Yeah, because I mean that's another thing, right? Like we have to almost, with painting now, with the advent of photography, even though it's been around a long time, I think we still have to ask, like, why did this need to be a painting? And it's a great question to ask every time you're making anything. What is this doing that that justifies its existence as a painting and not just you know, the photo reference or something. Yeah, well, you bet. It's yours. What was I think it was the guy Simon Sinek, I think, was that his start with Y or something like that, was his book. Brilliant guy. So now I'm just kind of cleaning up. I think I got a few more marks to make here, and then well, we'll call it a day for the stream anyway. I'm gonna keep painting, but I think we're just about there. Just need to fill it in, and we'll look at kind of step back and look at it all. Really good opportunity here for a lost edge. Here, the finger there. I'll probably work on that. Lost edges. There's another thing we didn't even talk about. No, those are the best. It's great when you just kind of lose where one thing begins and the other ends. I love it. So good. All right. Well, a lot of refinement to do. But not too shabby getting this blocked in and the time frame that we did it. Some of those little drawing shapes I'll continue to use the edge of the paint around to get it further described. A little bit in there, and that just about does it. So like a quick reflection on kind of where we went today. Is there a lot of work I still need to do to this? Yeah, there is. But again, the focus of the day, getting the main structures in, really like feeling it sort of sit there in space. And I'll even have a different attitude about it when I step back a good 10 feet or so and check it out. Then I'm like, oh wow, I missed that, because it's one of the rough things about the live stream. It's hard to get up and not knock a camera over or something. So excited. I feel pretty satisfied with the day, and looking forward to getting that kind of further refinement in. Rob, thanks. Yeah, anytime. Thanks for asking questions, because I think that's the exciting part, is when actually there's some back and forth. I think it turned out really nice. So good luck on your painting, Rob, and I hope it turns out as you wished. And thanks for the good words. So with that, guys, I'm gonna say farewell, and never stop painting. The more you do it, the better you'll get. And I wish you all well. Thanks.